Have you ever wondered how the most unlikely industries can become multi-million-dollar opportunities? Well, in this episode, we're going to break down how creative thinking, smart branding, and the franchise model turned an everyday inconvenience into a thriving national business, and what lessons you can learn to accelerate your business growth.
Welcome to Fortify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Joining me today is David Sauers. He's the CEO of Royal Restrooms. That's the upscale portable restroom franchise that's expanded to nearly 50 locations in 15 states. David, welcome to Fortify Live.
Thank you so much, Ford. I am extremely excited to be here today.
Now, you've built an interesting brand. Tell us a little backstory of, as an entrepreneur, how you got into this and what kind of journey you've had.
Right. Well, I think that all of us have to go to the bathroom every day, and we all like to do it in comfort. And that's the whole premise behind our company, Royal Restrooms. We want to make going to the bathroom at an outdoor facility exceptional. And that is truly our vision across the U.S. has been to bring an upscale portable restroom experience to weddings, festivals, you name it, anything outdoors.
Well, we've all been to some outdoor event and we cringe when we say, okay, gosh, I got to make a bio stop. And you look at those porta potty rows of terrible smell, nasty. You want to put like a hazmat suit on before you even go in the place. And so you've got a brand for Royal Restrooms that's transformed that allows a local company to become or a local person to become a franchisee. And then that franchisee serves their local market by going out and building relationships in their community to offer those for events.
Exactly. We want to find entrepreneurs that are community driven, who are community leaders, so that they can make an impact and a long lasting business legacy through portable restrooms. It can be done. And the events that we've done and changed and been a part of have been very rewarding, very rewarding.
Well, I can certainly believe that because I know it's just like me. I mean, I travel as a keynote speaker. I'm an opening keynote speaker. I speak at franchise brands and corporations, associations on all different topics. And, whenever I get to a hotel room, it's weird. I mean, I love it when there's a clean bathroom whenever I'm at an event or in an airport. I mean, especially in an airport, I typically, because I've got all my airport lounge access, I'll go to the airport lounge. Not that I'm a prima donna or anything like that or a diva. I just want to have a place that I can be clean. And when I looked on your online and looked at your brand, which is one of the reasons I wanted you to come on the show, is because I'm always looking for someone that's innovative. So along the way, when you had the idea and you've now franchised it and you're growing, were some of the initial resistance? Did people tell you it wouldn't work? Did people say, well, why should someone do that when they can rent a porta potty?
Absolutely. So many people, the naysayers, and obviously, for entrepreneurs, most people that venture outside of the box, even your surrounding support system just kind of tries to stop you. They don't want you to succeed. And I think that is because it brings them out of their comfort zone, and you're able to do something that maybe they wish that they could do. And with restrooms, the portable toilet, my entire vision happened because of a negative experience at a porta potty. And most people's businesses come from that. You try to solve a problem that is an issue, just nobody's necessarily done it. And with portable restrooms or portable toilets, it was kind of just accepted. People didn't want to deal with it because it has that kind of negative connotation with it, that it's nasty or it's dirty or smelly. Well, there's bathrooms in every business that we go to, every restaurant, every home. It's a necessary evil. And so why not make it as nice as you humanly possibly can? And that's what I did with the concept was kind of created by taking my daughters to a porta potty when they were potty training.
Right.
I wanted a facility that I could walk in with my girl. It's lit up. It's sanitary. I can wash their hands. I have space to move around in. And that has really become somewhat the standard across the U.S. now for portable toilets at festivals and events.
Yeah, I know for me, I mean, I've invented several products. I've got multiple patents, and I was in the sporting goods industry for many years, and I invented a bicycle storage solution that sandwiched in between the ceiling and the floor. So it was a pull system. And when I first came up with the idea, I was in my 20s, and people said, no one will ever buy it. It's $200. They can buy a hook for 99 cents. And another expert would say, oh, what are you going to do when you saturate the market? You're going to go out of business in 3 years. Like, I had all these so-called experts giving me their vision of the future. And I'm glad I didn't listen to them. So if you're listening to this right now, we're live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and a few other places. And the audio from this becomes the Business Growth Show podcast. So if you're watching the live, just go subscribe to the podcast, keep the numbers up, leave a comment. That would be great. But back to the outcome for being creative. You know, I had to go through the naysayers. I had to prove them wrong because, you know, I've always found, you know, people will tell you find a need and fill it. Well, I don't think that's actually true because I've found the solution for needs. People don't do what they need, they do what they want, right? I mean, and now, yes, ultimately they need to have what you're going to sell. But if you can touch the emotional side of their brain with what they really want, and if they're going to a festival or a concert or a fair and there's clean bathrooms, psychologically, that's the hidden benefit because they just breathe a little easier. They know it's going to be okay. And, you know, the only thing I would recommend is putting a sign in them that says, this is not your office, poop and go. Because only reason I say that, I'm not, this has nothing to do with your brand, of course, David. And for those of you listening to the podcast, again, is David Sauers. You can check him out at royalrestrooms.com. But for me, I hate it when I go to the airport, like in Chicago O'Hare Airport, you know, 10,000 people, one bathroom, 2 stalls, and they're in there watching a football game. Like, I can hear them. I'm like, can you guys just poop and go? Like, can we just move this on now? I know it's not the reason for this episode, but you have to go through the naysayers. You have to believe in what you're doing, and that's the first sign of really a successful business is you've got to create a culture where everybody believes in what you're doing, and you just can't listen to those naysayers. Now, I know you've scaled through franchising, and that's certainly no easy feat, right? So how many locations do you have now? You said you have 50?
We've got roughly 50 different territory franchise locations. They're not all separate individual franchises. We have a couple offices owners that own multiple office locations.
Multi-unit owners. Yeah, and what's your plans for scaling?
Right now, we are just launching a new CRM system for our entire operation to kind of bring that up to, I guess, modern times. We typically kind of operated from a little bit more family style system. And by bringing this CRM system, we're able to scale, we're able to target where our leads are coming from, where people need our product most, so that we can also target those areas from a franchise standpoint.
Yeah, and you're in a business that still is in a need to know search-based business. A lot of times people are having festivals or concerts or outdoor events or weddings, like you said, but they're not really thinking that would be a solution. So what are some of the ways that you're helping your franchisees be visible in the local markets so that prospects can find them?
Well, I hate to say this on a podcast, but we are in a kind of a battle right now with Google. They took down all of our local search, all of our Google local business profiles. And it has been a traumatizing experience to have all of our local presence removed from Google, and just trying to reorganize that and find out what it is that we need to do, because we were pulled down for deceptive content. I'm not sure what kind of deceptive content that we ever had, but one of the Google support people in India or Pakistan said, well, you had multiple user feedback reporting that you did not provide the primary product in your service category, which there is only portable toilet service category for us to go under. So it looks like we've either had some kind of malicious attack from competitors, which I don't necessarily think that is it, but I think that users have searched for portable toilets, looking for your traditional style portable toilet, and clicked on our site. And then we said, we don't offer that. We offer restroom trailers instead of portable toilets. And they've gone back and clicked that we don't have it. And it has been just trying to navigate this process and feed through these lines has been just a daunting task. But, we basically been hurt by our digital online presence just based off of those facts, which has forced us to increase more ad spend to Google, which we also found out now that our search term Royal Restroom pops up as one of the top 3 search words under Google, which is further infuriating than to see other markets across the country using our name, Royal Restrooms, either in their name or using that as a search term. So we're definitely battling that.
All right, so this is a podcast, everybody, and a lot of times I have guests on the show, and this is a live conversation. So here's what you're going to do, David. Okay, so number one, there's only 3 ways to get traffic. You're going to create it, you're going to borrow it, or you're going to buy it. So the first thing you need to do is you definitely need to get the Google business listings corrected. That's the first thing. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to trademark Royal Restrooms as a name, okay? If you can get the trademark, it'll cost you $750, or whatever you pay with your legal person. Now, for the purpose of everybody listening to this episode, this is for this is for information and educational purposes. I'm not giving anybody legal advice, so this is a podcast. All right. So one, I want you to get your name trademarked. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to call me after the episode and let's set up a time where we can do a digital footprint critique. Because I run a digital marketing agency on top of being a Hall of Fame keynote speaker and, speaking and training on business success and local marketing for franchises. I run a digital agency. So I've gone through everything you're talking about. I've worked with other franchise brands. I'm not soliciting you live on a podcast that everybody's listening to, but it's value for value. All right. So, but the point is you need to go create a lot of content using portable toilets and using the pros and cons of what the difference between portable and because that is a search phrase. If I was having an event, I wouldn't think portable restroom. I would type porta potty or portable toilet. I know it's not a camping toilet. I know it's not something I would take camping, which is what a portable toilet is. But you can have content up there that then leads to where people can go to get it. So you can easily say, if you're confused, these are portable toilets. Here's 25 places on Amazon, you can go get it. And if they have a solution that they can go get them, because that's not going to compete with your business. That has nothing to do with your business. You're not suggesting that people use that. But you need to own that keyword and you need to own that traffic because right now it is a disconnect, okay? Then the second thing you want to do is come up with your main list of main keywords and long tail keywords of all the questions that your ideal prospects would have relating to their business. So for example, pardon me, allergies. So if you're trying to reach wedding planners or wedding event locations or people that are planning a wedding, you want to have content all about planning a wedding that has nothing to do with the toilets or the restrooms. For practical purposes, everybody, they're not a toilet. It's a royal restroom. It's a high-level luxury experience. But again, business to business, call it what it is. It's a high-level experience. You don't go broke making a profit. So what I love about your brand is that you're providing a luxury experience, which is a competitive advantage. You're not a commodity, right? Because a porta potty is a commodity. They have a bunch of places that can rent them and get them, but you're offering a unique experience. It has nothing to do with the product. It has to do with the experience, right? So number one, critiquing and getting your website up to date. Number two, creating a sales and marketing playbook for your local franchisees so that they don't call you and go, hey, what are you doing? Because, the biggest rub in franchising, as we both know, being in franchising for years, the franchisee wants the franchisor to send them all the business. They bought the franchise, they bought the unit, and now they're like sitting back waiting for the phone to ring, and why aren't you sending more business? And then the franchisor is like, look, we're giving you this great brand. We've built all these great products. We've trained you. You need to go out and leverage in your market, which is why I wrote the book Accelerate, which is that franchisees can use to take control over their local markets. But the Google thing can get fixed, but you need to create the organic traffic so that you're not losing that too, right? And then giving your franchisees a playbook for how to leverage social media so they can be found in their local communities. And that's geocoding their content and a few other things that we could discuss. But the digital part can be fixed. That is common, and that's the same thing I tell people. A lot of times what will happen, David, is we'll take over someone's pay-per-click campaigns, and they'll be like, we're spending 10 grand a month on pay-per-click, or it doesn't matter what the amount is. And I'm like, well, let me look at your ads. Oh, we have it all figured out. I said, yeah, I know. Just let me take a look at it. And what happens is they have all these campaigns sending all the traffic to the homepage, not to the specific part. So you should have detailed sections on your website for festivals, for weddings, and for all the different ideal clients that you have, and then help your franchisees understand how to use keywords in the franchise thing or the local event in their marketing. So if I own one of your locations, because I looked prior to getting you on the show, I'm like, I wonder if there's one here, right? And I looked, and there isn't yet. And I said, well, I wonder, what the competition is, what the market is it worth it? I'm always looking at pros and cons of franchise brands. What I like about your model is it's mobile. The startup costs aren't, I don't have to go into a mall and have a big store. And so that was cool. And then I can market locally, but the franchisees have to know how to build those relationships locally and how to be visible. So whether it's their signage, their vehicle wraps, so forth, and then their outreach, they need to know how to outreach to the local events. And if they just prospect, like for me, I'll prospect 3 times a week for about a half an hour to franchise brands. I'll call people like you, CEOs, and hey, would you like to be on Fortify Live? And then, I get plenty of guests. I've had over 500 episodes. And that really helps me build the brand. But for my digital agency, we'll reach out and offer digital footprint critiques. Or we'll see something that's wrong on their website and say, hey, here's how you can do it. So imagine a franchisee going to one of those festivals, taking photos of the porta potties, and then contacting the event organizer and saying, here's what you have now. Imagine this experience. And what would this do to help people have a better experience? And obviously, they're always going to be talking about cost, but it's never a price issue. It's always a value issue. So I'm just curious, what's a mistake that you made early on that taught you your biggest lesson?
Oh, a lot of what you just talked about, assuming that my franchisees knew exactly how to promote their own business locally. I assumed because they were good at sales, their background, listening to them talk, but a lot of them just kind of waited for what we were going to do. How are we going to solve this? And going back to even that CRM, like we've done a lot of those things, and we try to do a lot of those things because being in the business over 20 years, that's something that we have prided ourselves on is being that industry milestone setter, going to wedding shows, making sure that we are present and being the foremost authority on the subject. But going back to our offices, not maintaining a solid local advertising presence and expecting them to do that, and not being able to track or follow up with it has been one of our biggest hurdles because, they're like, what are you doing for us? How are you doing this? And it's like, okay, we've gotten these leads. You've got, 35 emails, direct requests for quotes. How many of them closed? We weren't able to tell that. And we weren't able to also figure out exactly, the ads we're producing, but which ones were closing, which ones have made the difference. So that CRM system will give us a lot more detailed analytics so that we can move forward. And the CRM also will track all of their social media posts in one place. It will track their, what they're doing. And so we're able to make sure that happens, because now, you got 50 locations and we're trying to track manually, who's posted when, and, that they posted last November. It's like, wait a second, all right, you've gone 8 months without a social post. This way we can make sure that all these things stay consistent and that they are a priority. Because it's hard when you get an office owner and they're focused on their business, they're focused on more of the day-to-day tasks. Those kind of things move to the back. And especially when they get busy, when they have put in the effort, they built the social up, they've done the nonprofits, they've done their blog posts, they start to get busy, that drops off. And then it's like a cyclical cycle. It's like they have to, we need to make sure that everything remains consistent across the board.
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm 64. I started when I was 15. I've been in franchising now for 3 decades. I've worked with all the top brands and QSR, fast casual, full service dining, a lot of home service brands, because I had a lot of home service businesses. So I've worked in your markets that do B2B, B2C, and for home services. And, at the end of the day, I always share with people, the best laid plans always lack some execution, and you can provide your franchisees with all the tools in the world. It's like, it's like health and fitness. You can tell people to eat less and exercise more. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. But when you tie their why to why they want to do it, and you create a culture of that, which is you've reached a magic number. 50 is a milestone, 100's a milestone, and then of course, there's franchises that have, thousands. But I've talked to CEOs that say, look, I'd rather run 50 effective than grow to 100 and then have a franchise brand that isn't effective. So this isn't about units. It's about system-wide sales, right? And so one of the things definitely is by giving them that local marketing playbook that's branded around Royal Restrooms, that gives them the scripts, gives them the playbook. And you can use AI to help generate some of this, but by giving them these tools and then by creating the videos to it, because what happens is training isn't something they did, it's something they do. And so what happens is they come on, they become a franchise, they end up having the franchise training day or week or whatever you will provide your franchisees for training. And I know you support them, because it's one of the reasons, the criteria before we get a CEO on the episode. But the problem is like you said, they're wearing many hats. They're trying to deal with staffing and they deal with, like you said, that cyclical lead thing. And the one thing is certain across the board for every group. And I've got a keynote this Saturday. I'll be speaking in San Antonio to a franchise group. The cost to acquire a customer has gone up because Google is no longer giving them the lead. That's just across the board, doesn't matter. But there's a lot of ways to leverage and get that lead and get them to convert. So congratulations on doing your CRM system. I think that's amazing, because you definitely need to have some tracking and some data. That's going to help you do 2 things. It's going to help you with prospective prospects that want to become a franchisee. It's going to help you with a single unit owner who wants to become a multi-unit owner, or a multi-brand owner who might have a franchise in another brand that then wants to add your service, because there are co-branded things that your service would work with what they do already. And then that's really, really the key of the whole piece. So, at the end of the day, marketing and sales is just giving people enough information they can make a good decision. I love your brand. I love what you're doing with the brand, but I can appreciate the challenges. And full disclosure for everybody listening, look, every entrepreneur who's listening to this, whether you work for a company or you're an entrepreneur, you deal with the wheel of excellence. You have to lead, you have to operate, you have to market and sell, and you have to provide the customer experience. And those are all components in a successful business. So it's very typical to, you can be very successful. That doesn't mean you can't better your best. And I like your approach to, look, we're upgrading our CRM, we're working with our units. But I would say really record some training for them. Yes, I can provide training, and yes, I charge for that, but that's not why I've got you on the call. But even this episode, you'll get when this goes live, it's going to go live on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, and you're going to be able to get a full copy of it. You should take it, put it on your intranet, or put it on your YouTube channel, or put a different introduction on it, because that way franchisees know that you're out there building the brand, you're talking about what's worked, you're transparent, And, that's what really works. What do you think the hardest part is about growing from an entrepreneur to a CEO, and how'd you make that shift?
Ooh, well, that has still been a learning curve. I think that, moving to a franchise, I did not initially model it as this is going to be a separate, complete, different company. I thought that it was kind of a transition and it was a parent of one of the other.
Right.
Owning a franchise model is absolutely completely different than owning your first location and starting your business at. And I think even going forward now, I used to think of franchising as like I was marrying them. Like this is this long-term relationship that we can work together, and it's not. It is basically a mutual partnership to advance something further. I'm providing something and you're providing something. It's not it's not a marriage that we can get divorced from. It is a relationship that we are benefiting each other in hopes of mutual gain.
And keep going.
Yeah. No, and I think that was one of the realizations over the last couple of years that I've kind of changed the way that I thought originally. And without coming from any kind of franchise background, with being just a small business owner, it has taken a lot to get to where I am today. And it's also hard because I do talk to other people and I do listen to them, and I listen to my individual franchise offices, and I can see that they're still working their business instead of building their business.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've bought this business to find something to do rather than they're scaling it. And trying to address that with them is difficult. It's more difficult than I thought because I myself didn't see the difference until later on.
Yeah, it never changes. My keynote fees are high, and people will call me and say, well, gosh, that's a pretty high fee, and I'm like, look, you're not spending the money on the fee. You're already spending the money. You either have lost productivity, lost opportunities, like you're spending the money now. I'm a third-party endorsement. And so what I do special that really works great for brands is I become a third-party endorsement to say the things they're already saying to the franchisees, but all of a sudden I come in and say it, and they think, oh, this is great, right? And at the end of the day, it's business 101. I mean, there's no new secret of marketing or sales or building the relationship. You have to execute. But I found, David, that it really comes down to three parts, and you can use this with your franchisees too, is mindset, strategies, and tactics, right? If they want to accelerate their growth, you've got to have some conditioning around the mindset so that they don't have the narrative, what have you done for me lately? Because that's really easy for franchisees, especially when you start to grow and you have a franchise advisory council. That's what they're going to say. Well, what have you done for me lately? You're taking a percentage of my sales. Well, what are you doing for me? And that's always that narrative. And so that mindset piece is really important. Strategically, you have the systems in place, but dripping on them on a regular basis. This week's call is going to be about how to reach wedding planners. This week's call is on how to reach festivals. This week's call on how to deliver and follow up with closed leads. This week, whatever, I'm making it up, but you get the point, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then the tactical part is the execution, the contests, edifying the brand, and really finding the brand ambassadors that can help. So like right now, I'm doing a lot of programs on AI. I've been speaking on business growth and local marketing for decades, right? Way before the internet, I was a direct mail guy. I manufactured products and sold them through multiple channels of distribution. When the internet came around, 94, 95, I leaned into it because everything's trackable. When AI came out 5 years ago, it's been out more than 5. Most people think 2 or 3, but it's been out for a long time. It was just not called AI, but they were on the verge of it. But now with AI, what I tell people is the more technology you have, the more the human experience is going to work. So AI can help your franchisees identify where the opportunities are, create the scripts and the notices and the thank you cards and everything to build those relationships. But they have to start simple and get complicated later. a lot of times with a franchise owner, and I mean, I make payroll, I have employees. I mean, I know what it's like, and I'm also a part owner in a franchise brand that I don't solicit or anything because of what I do for a speaker. You know, I'm not going to do that. But I can tell you that, you know, it's not the territory and it's not the product. Because as you and I sit here and talk, and we just met on this show in the green room, right? There's always going to be outdoor festivals. In fact, I believe even now with AI, outdoor experiences where people can get together are only going to increase. So the first question is, do you have a definable market? Yes. Do you have markets that congregate? Can you identify? Yes, if I was a local franchise owner of your product, I can identify in 2 days all the opportunities in my local community within whatever my territory is, whether it's 100 miles or 50 miles or 20 miles. I could identify those opportunities. I could find the local associations to sponsor and speak at, and I could do all the local networking and grassroots capability to find out how to be visible. And so that's really the key is tactically, what are they going to do on a regular basis so they do get out of it? The old E-Myth, Michael Gerber, you know, would say, you know, are you working in your business or on your business? And you have to step back every once in a while. But if it's not part of your conditioning, if it's not part of the conversation, if it's not part of the language pattern, and the brands that I've seen excel, and I've had a lot of franchise brands, and you know, there's give or take, you could say there's 5,000 franchise brands in the United States. Whatever number you want to listen to from the IFA, International Franchise Association. But there's all different types of brands. What's a typical category of investment for someone to be, now this is not for full disclosure, everybody, this is not a solicitation to become a franchise owner. So for legal purposes, this is just me talking as a person. What does a typical franchisee in your system have to invest? Hypothetically, just not exactly. I know there's a lot of variables.
Yeah. So in ours, we typically start you off a little bit slow because there is a growth accelerant. Most of our rentals happen months after, you know, they've ordered something. So the typical franchise starts out around 150,000 to the initial investment. After that, depends upon the growth and how much they're going to put into it. So usually after about 2 years, they're about $400,000 to $500,000 invested. Because they're buying trailers.
What do you think a system-wide sale would be? Now, these are all hypothetical numbers, everybody. These are just for the podcast purposes. If someone became a franchise, or what do you think their top-line territory sales are for just one unit, if they just had one unit? Now, we know that the suburban is different than the urban, is different than the city, and the East and West Coast is different than the Midwest. I get that. But what kind of gross revenues do you feel like the real successful franchisees are doing?
Most of them are doing somewhere around 35,000 a trailer a year.
All right.
So, you know, you've got the typical price range on a trailer starts around 35 to 60,000. And the bigger trailers, the more expensive trailers, they end up costing more, but you may not rent them out quite as often.
Right. And then,
so typically, about 35 to 40,000.
What do you feel when you're selling? What's an objection if they reach out to a group that doesn't use you? What do you feel like their biggest objection is? Because the reason I'm asking you, full disclosure, before you answer, full disclosure, the reason I'm asking is I think that you're in a period of growth where the market doesn't understand the product. Like they don't know, one, it's available, and two, they don't know what it can do for them. Three, they don't know the value. So there's, you know, it's always harder when you're selling something when you have to educate your market because they don't know what they don't know. It's kind of like AI right now. I'm speaking on AI, right? Everybody with a laptop, David, is an AI expert. Every single person who's ever opened up ChatGPT is. Now my fees are $25,000 to go in, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can get someone for $400." Yeah, you can. It's not the same. But so when you think about your services, what are some of the sales objections that you get from your prospects?
Almost 90% is the cost. It's almost, you know, that, or they're worried about have water, or they don't have enough power, They're worried about who's going to take care of them. So it is an educational process a lot of times. And we do like to work and explain the process to event coordinators and give them, some of the, the advantages. One, like I said, we're in the 21st century. People, right. If you're putting all this effort into a festival, into your event, you want to make it spectacular. People are picking and choosing based on their experiences and what they're going to get out of it. It's just like when people are coming to listen to you, they're looking at who the headliner is. What's 100%. The hotel like? What is they're looking at all of these things like, okay, does this match what I'm expecting it to be?
All right.
So I think people are weighing in. I think people are weighing in on that. And the great thing about having real restrooms at an outdoor event, the average person for a 6-hour festival will spend 37 minutes longer at an event when they have nicer facilities because they won't leave. But two, talking about comfort and anxiety. If you know that you don't have to go to a porta potty, you may drink more, you may eat more, you may socialize a little more. So it almost will plan the way that you react the rest of your the way you react at the event.
Yeah.
So it's those things are truly important. And when that experience level is resonated with the patron and the guest, and it's higher, they're more apt to talk about it. They're more apt to share, and return the next year, which makes your numbers only go up.
100%. Well, that's a great segue. When I come back, we'll ask a couple closing questions, but I want to have a word from our sponsor.
Can't cut through the online chaos? This episode is powered by Ignite Visibility, the nation's expert in ROI-driven digital marketing. We help over 90 leading franchise brands and 2,500 locations outrank competitors and convert more customers. Ready to stand out and grow? Claim your free digital marketing audit at ignitevisibility.com. Ignite your growth.
Now, full disclosure for everybody listening, that is not my agency. That's a sponsor of my podcast. But I would recommend, seriously, David, contact Ignite Visibility. There's no obligation. Contact them. Joe Mohe is my good buddy. He's the president over there for that division for the multi-franchise brands. But I would just get him to do the critique because they have Google specialists that could probably fix your problem. I'm sorry, when I thought about the beginning of the episode, I didn't even think, hey, you should contact Ignite. But so definitely contact Ignite. There's no obligation. You'll probably get an email introducing it, but there's no obligation whatsoever. But they can really help you. All right, let's go back to the sales thing. So when anybody's selling any product, there's always 4 fears that prevent someone from making a buying decision. Fear of change. Well, if I bring in this vendor, I'm going to have to change. Fear of conflict. Well, if I bring you in, Johnny, our last vendor, I'm going to have to tell him we don't want to do business with them anymore. So there's fear of change, fear of conflict, or fear of work. Oh, well, if I get these Royal Restrooms, and I'm just using you as the example, do I have water? Do I have power? Do I have security? Does my insurance cover them? Am I liable? Like, there's all these questions, right? And then fear of failure. What if I invest in this and it doesn't work? Well, there's pretty zero fail with your type of product. You're either going to use it or you're not. But I think that you really need to lean into those benefits that you just shared with me. And I don't think you should say might increase what I think you need to really do the research and say, we've worked with our customers, and the customers that have used us over year have found an increase in, because it common sense makes sense. Like, it makes sense that if I have a better experience, I'm going to stay longer. If I have a better experience, I'm going to eat more, spend more. It elevates the whole thing. So I really think you're onto something huge. What I like is that it's not going to be replaced by technology. It's not, as long as people still have to go to the bathroom. And I like that you're leaning into a premium brand. Anything that connects those. Whenever I, as a thought leader and an incubator for ideas for brands, I always say, look, it costs just as much to sell a premium brand as it does a cheap brand. I mean, you spend just as much time selling something cheap as you do something that's expensive. And I learned that with my sporting goods bike rack when it sold for $200 because I called it a home furnishing. I didn't call it a bike rack, right? I mean, it was a bike rack. Okay, you put your bikes on it, stores it in limited space. It's a bike rack, but I called it a home storage system. and I sold over $50 million of that product. I sold through all the channels of distribution. I was in Sky Mall, all the airplane magazines, back when the magazines had Sky Mall. I was in Sharper Image, Williams-Sonoma, all the mass merchants. It was everywhere. What closing thoughts do you have for people that are maybe interested more about Royal Restrooms, or just that you would give advice to someone in the market?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I would first like to say, if you need a restroom, we've got it. We'd love to be in your market. We'd love to help be a part of your festival, wedding, or even a business remodel. That's something that we're excited about, and something that we're passionate about, is providing an elevated service. From entrepreneurs, you don't have to do it yourself. There's great people like Ford here. And, even when you do feel like you're doing it yourself, there's always people supporting you in the background. And I can't be grateful enough for all the support that I've had and growing this business and hearing, all of the stories. It is truly rewarding, and I'm blessed to be where I am. And so I'm looking forward to the next 10 years at Royal Restrooms and seeing where we end up landing,
Well, congratulations on that, David. And again, it's David Sauers, CEO of RoyalRestrooms.com. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, so thanks for tuning in to Fortify Live, where we're all about accelerating your business growth. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep fortifying that success.
Thank you for tuning in to Fortify Live. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Business Growth Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. We air weekly at 11 a.m. Central Time. So until next week, keep pushing the boundaries and never stop growing.